It's a combative and worrisome time in the world of Magic the Gathering. Now in today's video, we are going to discuss the Canadian-US government trade war with the tariffs. We're going to find out what's happening at your local LGS and will they survive. And then we're going to follow up the end of the video with a whole bunch of sealed product conversation, including Lord of the Rings and, of course, Warhammer 40k. Some surprising stuff is going on. We have a lot to cover in today's video. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss out. Magic the Gathering already has a pricing problem, without the Canadian and US governments getting involved. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here, and thank you again for hanging out with me on my channel today. And we're talking about tariffs, we're talking about Lord of the Rings, and of course, Warhammer 40k. Let's start with the tariffs. In case you guys didn't know, way back in the first administration for Donald Trump, the first time, there was tariffs brought in on a whole bunch of stuff. It kind of went back and forth a little bit. Playing cards was one of them, and that included Magic the Gathering. So already, if you wanted to bring a box of Magic the Gathering to our distributors here in Canada, let's say the box starts at $100 in the US. When it goes to Canada, first we have the exchange rate, 30 cents on the dollar. So that $100 box now becomes $130. Then there was already another 25% tariff, so now it's like, what, $160? And now the Canadian government is applying, with the new tariffs, another 25%. And that's before we have any markups from distribution, and then markups, of course, at your LGS. You can see how out of hand this is going to become. And it doesn't just affect Canada, it affects other places in the world all the time. But it's going to hit here, and I guess Mexico, pretty hard, so get ready for it, everyone. But that leads us to the darker turn of things, and that's your LGS. Your LGS is going to be affected. I know because I've talked to several of them, and they've emailed me, and they're all talking together to find out what's going to happen. A few things of note for those people here who may be affected. Number one, Final Fantasy and Tarkir Dragonstorm. You may already have put in a pre-order for these particular products. Those products are coming to you, but they haven't arrived yet. In case of something like Final Fantasy, it's still several months away. It would be affected by tariffs. So will Tarkir Dragonstorm unless it's already here, which it's not. This is going to hurt. But it looks like a lot of the stores I'm dealing with and the ones I'm speaking to are going to eat the loss. They are prepared because they've already pre-sold it to not overcharge you. They're just going to say, oh well, we're going to eat that cost because we told you that was the price. Kudos to them, but I understand where this is leading, which is the second half of this conversation. You see, Magic the Gathering is not their only source of income. They have lots of board games and other TCG card games and sports cards. They've got singles, they got Pokemon, they got hats and gloves and all kinds of knapsacks and cool stuff inside their store. Most of them are affected by tariffs. Do you know what happens when everything's affected by tariffs and everything goes up by 25% and you can't stop it? Your prices look really high inside your store. And those prices that look really high and then got even higher, people aren't going to buy them. You know what happens when people don't buy things? Oh, you get where this is going. They close. There are several LGSs who have told me because of how these tariffs are looking like they're going to work, chances are they're not going to survive. These are stores that are smaller, local, populations of 30 to 40,000 in small towns here in Canada, and they don't think they're going to make it at all. So that being there, I just wanted to let you guys know in case this suddenly comes that your store says they're closing. Chances are it's because of the tariffs. I will let you guys know when I get more information about how this is going to affect them. Because some stores think they'll be able to weather this kind of event. They don't think it'll go on that long. Others are a lot less optimistic about where this is going to lead. And because they are older and closer to retirement anyway, they are thinking of just closing up shop. You guys know who you are. The ones I've spoken to have asked not to be named because they actually haven't seen it come into effect yet. They don't want to scare or spook any customers. Now let's jump into our second part here, and that is going to be all the amazing stuff going on in sealed product. We all know that Final Fantasy has just led us to the next level. Then we got Tarkir Dragonstorm. I can't believe how well that product is selling. And I mean, I really can't believe how well that product is selling. It's blowing my mind. But what I didn't expect to see was a few extra sales started to appear. And people started to mention it to me, and I started looking around. Now, the problem with these sales is they're much harder to track at this point because they're not at local LGS level, so I don't have my normal distribution network to let me know where things are going. We're going to start here with Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings set booster draft boxes, been out of print, right? It's done. Stores have them or they don't have them. But it turns out most stores don't have them anymore. They've been selling them still. And they've been disappearing and being absorbed by the market. The collector boxes, remember the one ring with Post Malone buying it for $2 million? Found by a guy not far from where I live in Toronto. Well, when you look at those collector boxes, they've been going up for a long time. You've seen a couple of videos I probably produced in the last month talking about how they're over the $1,000 mark. The thing that gets me is even the special edition ones are still selling multiple boxes in a week. Go ahead and check on just the sold listings on TCG Player. Go check eBay again. Those prices, even if it's back and forth trading and speculation, it's kind of scary to think we're talking that kind of money. And this is where we go. Because those Universes Beyond products are selling so well, people, speculators, are believing that will trickle down to other Universes Beyond products. Assassin's Creed. I checked it. The sales are still really low, but I'm surprised to see there's any sales at all. But the local level has sold out of all their collector boxes across everywhere. I found that very interesting. I thought there were still boxes hanging around, and apparently there's not. They've all just disappeared into people's collections, into people's speculations, been hidden away for some time later. Because I don't believe everyone's just cracking boxes of Assassin's Creed. That'd be a lot more easily found, and it's just not in this case. The market has absorbed them, and they're not really available at local level unless you have a bigger city around you, and you might be able to find some. But even then, the price is starting to drift upward. Now let's move this conversation along and jump over to Warhammer 40k. As you guys know, those beautiful commander decks came out. Everyone was excited, just enthralled with the idea of being introduced to this epic storyline, which is Warhammer 40k. These boxes sold well at that time, and they got multiple reprints. They were all over Walmart and everywhere else. And they've all started to disappear. I knew that 6 months ago. 3 months ago I mentioned it, and now you can find them on TCG Player, and they're still selling very well. And the prices are all starting to tick upward as the market trades these things back and forth for the sealed ones. It is getting more expensive, which means you jump into the singles. What card are you looking for? Which ones are the ones you really want to get your hands on? And what will Wizards of the Coast do when these prices keep edging upward? Let me share this one with you because a lot of people have been buying it, and it's just one of the cards we need to talk about. So here we have the Reaver Titan Universes Beyond Warhammer 40k. This thing lightly played is $35.54. You can see it right here on TCG Player. Now the Reaver Titan is a 7 casting cost, 10/10 artifact vehicle. It has void shields, protection from mana value 3 or less, kind of amazing. Then it's got the Gatling Blaster. Whenever a Reaver Titan attacks, it deals 5 damage to each opponent. And don't forget, it's not hard to get multiple attack phases in Commander, so this thing could be just beating down everybody in the Commander game. And it only takes a crew of 4 to make this thing work. And here's where things get interesting. If I showed you on TCG Player right now, you went looking, here is March 8th of 2025. You see how it just stretches the whole page? That's because I keep getting bought. They keep being just bought up and bought up. Now, part of this is due to Aetherdrift. With all the vehicles available, we're seeing a lot of commander deck builds involving these kind of cards, and the Reaver Titan is just a monster, okay? People have to deal with this thing right away, or they are just messed up. So when we also take a look, though, going forward, and you see where the price has been, looking at things like MTG stocks, you can see this thing's just been jumping up. It went over $22 this month. The overall increase since last week is like almost 40% at this point. Cards like this inside the Warhammer 40k block that we saw released, they've all been selling, and they're selling very well, which means we are likely going to see either Wizards of the Coast have to address this at some point and do some kind of reprint product, maybe with different names, but the same card. It would just be a generic knockoff of the Reaver Titan, and that is something Wizards of the Coast can do because they own the Magic the Gathering, IP, they can do what they want. But they can't make it a Reaver Titan by name or probably by image. That's something that probably belongs to Warhammer 40k. But what could happen in the future is some kind of new deal created after Wizards of the Coast realizes how much revenue they missed out on. They may try to revisit Warhammer 40k as a full set. That'd be the best option, I think, for a company like this, because they've started to really delve into the universes beyond IPs like Final Fantasy, Spider-Man, Marvel is a general thing, Lord of the Rings, and they're all very successful. They probably missed the boat a bit on the Warhammer 40k just because the actual lore of that thing is so huge. There's so many characters, worlds, and things to do. They could do whole sets based on this. It'd be crazy if they went back to it. Now, here at the end of the video, I just want to remind you guys that when we're looking at all these products, the singles market in particular, the sealed stuff has really started to climb again into people's minds of interest. You see all these speculators gobbling up the market and you think you're missing out. That FOMO event, and me even saying it, can cause a ripple of a FOMO event inside the Magic world. But I want you to remember that those people out there, they've got the capital to hold on to this stuff usually and to, slowly gear up that price. How bad do you need a product? How bad do you need the card? That's why the singles market becomes so hot, because buying the sealed product just might be too expensive as it starts getting absorbed into the market and into larger positions consolidated by people who have the capital to back themselves up. Keep that in mind. Sometimes it's better to let it go and go the singles route. But I do understand why people would want to hold on and buy a box of something. So at the LGS level, let's not forget that those LGSs do not restock. Collector boxes do not come back. Whatever they have in stock, that's it. They do not go back to distribution nowadays and say, I'd like 3 or 4 more boxes, because distribution has jacked up the price and made it that much more expensive to buy those boxes. There's no more Bloomborough coming to your store. Whatever's there is there. So nowadays, it's kind of that FOMO event where you say, do I want a box of Tarkir? Right? Dragonstorm. Do I want it now? Because if I go back 2 months after release, it's not going to be there. 1 month after release, probably not going to be there. Those initial boxes get bought, the money moves on to the next set. If they happen to have some in stock, that's great. But you'll notice that a lot of smaller stores don't have Duskmourn. They don't have Aetherdrift anymore because they sold them out and they don't want to reissue and restock their stores and say, hey, I'll spend another $500 buying a couple of boxes, because they may not be able to move it and they're not going to tie their capital up that way. Just keep that stuff in mind, guys. Pre-ordering right now seems to be a really big thing, and that is unlikely to change in the near future. I want to thank you guys again for hanging out with me on the channel today. A reminder, if you enjoyed today's content, to like and subscribe to my channel. Turn on that notification bell. I do put out new content every single day. I thank you again. Guys, have a great day. Bring a friend to Magic and let's enjoy ourselves. Even with all this turmoil in the world, we can still play a great game and enjoy this hobby. See you tomorrow. Hey guys, a big shout out and thank you to the fantastic patrons of my channel. Without those patrons, daily uploaded content would not be possible. I mean, it's amazing to see all these new viewers tuning into the channel, giving the videos a thumbs up, and of course commenting every day. And because of my YouTube membership members and my patrons, that's all made possible, guys. So thanks again for supporting my channel. Thanks for being here every day, and we'll see you tomorrow with another video. Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble. You came to the end of the video? Look at it. We got playing card things going on here. Tariffs and stuff. We still have a little bit of coffee, though. Okay. I hope the stores are okay. Never a good thing to hear that stores are in a bit of a pickle, wondering if they're going to make it or not. I hope they're all going to make it through. The sealed product thing is a little bit concerning. I know how things are looking right now. I can see it in the way the trend is for the sales. And wow, Wizards of the Coast has got a little bit of a jackpot. Keeping a tighter production run, but raising the prices of the boxes means they make up the shortfall of having a lower printing and creating a more exclusive market. It's genius. I hate it, but it's genius. All right. Anyway, I don't have a lot else to say right now. I'm just thinking about these things in my head all the time. I want to see how Final Fantasy is going to go out there. And I think the next day's video, we're going to take a look at some distribution pricing to let you guys know where this market is headed and what you're really paying for products. So if you made it this far, yeah, we're going to see how it goes in the next video. Guys, have a great one. Ramble Jamble.